everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of My Awesome Friend. And today I have the pleasure of having Miss Erbi with me today. Hi, Erbi. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Erbi, we were just laughing about this because you don't believe me, but you have a fan club. There are several of us within our community space that we both belong to that we adore you. We think from the way that you're put together from head to toe, every time we see you, your Girl Tribe, which is an amazing supportive group, to your community involvement, just everything in general. You're always so happy and positive. And so I wanted to bring you on so we can learn a little bit more about you. So start off by telling us, who is Erbi?
Well, thank you. First of all, thanks for inviting me. I admire you. As I've told you in the past, you're a great entrepreneur and you're an influence to a lot of young women. So thank you for what you do and your involvement in the community. So thank you for inviting me. This is my first podcast, as you know. So, be patient with me if I don't do it the right way. So anyways, I'm lucky to be a banker, very involved in the community. I'm a community relations director. So that's pretty much what I do for the bank, even though there's a compliance aspect to what I do as well. But for me, that's the fun part of banking. I've been in banking over 30 years, but only in this space about 18 years. So anyways, I love what I do. I'm also a mother. I'm very proud to say that I have, my son is an attorney. He's a public defender in Savannah. So he's done well, so thank goodness for that. And I'm also a wife, married to an American Airlines captain. I'm very happy we get to travel a lot because he gets his benefits through American Airlines. And also, I'm like you said, I have a great group of friends, so I consider being a friend and being a good friend to me is one of the top priorities in my life. So thank you. That's part of who I am. All of these are parts of who I am.
And we love you for it so much. And one thing that you didn't mention that I noticed recently, you posted about it. You are a 9-year lung transplant survivor. Can you share your story with us?
Sure. Well, yes. Thanks for bringing that up. That's funny because I rarely talk about that. So if it does come up, it's because of, there's a milestone. So I was born with cystic fibrosis. And, my parents had come here from Cuba to America. I didn't know what that was, had never heard of it. But it is a genetic disease, so I did inherit it from one of my parents, from my family. Anyway, so I have cystic fibrosis, and at that time in the 60s when I was born, it was not something that the kids would survive very long. They didn't have a lot of medical advances. It was a fairly new disease. So I am very, very grateful and very happy that I had good medical care and that I have been able to survive all the years. But eventually it did get to me where my lungs were no longer functional. So I had to get a double lung transplant, and I was able to get that at Duke University in North Carolina. Great doctors and have been taken care of by them since then. Also not a high survival rate for double lung transplants because you're breathing in you can breathe in a lot of germs and things, and you're immunosuppressed. But thank goodness, again, I'm doing well. I'm very active. I'm healthy, as healthy as I can be under the circumstances. And I think that when it's our time, it's our time. So I'm just grateful that I'm still here and alive and kicking, as they say.
Well, we're grateful that you're here, too, so that we can learn from you and embrace all of your awesomeness. And you're feeling good today?
I feel fine, yes, awesome. Other than that rainstorm outside that killed us.
Because you had this, you have this condition and you are this amazing survivor and you are so involved in the community. You probably go to 2 or 3 events a week or meetings or luncheons, galas, and it's part of your work, but it's not just your work, right? So what are you doing to take care of yourself to make sure that you are staying healthy, that you are being the best Erbi that you can be?
Right. Thank you. Yeah. I love being involved in the community, and my job is to do community outreach, but I'm involved personally in a lot of these organizations, including United Way and Casa Familia and Habitat for Humanity, and I can make a list of several that I'm on boards. Recently got inducted to the FIU Alumni Board, and
congrats.
I love that. Yes, I'm an alum of FIU, so I'm glad that you brought it up because lately it's been an issue as far as anxiety and depression and mental health has become more on the forefront. Whereas before, people really wouldn't talk about things like that. Now I think it's becoming much more accepted. And I think people are noticing more the things that are going on in their lives and their mental health. So thanks for bringing it up. Because I am busy and very active and do have health issues and other issues, and there's a lot to deal with, I do feel on occasion where I feel like I'm a little anxious. And I think that one of the things that I've done, that I've recently started doing, is maybe just saying no on occasion. I can't go to everything. I can't do everything. I can't serve on every board, even though I would love to, because I love all of the wonderful things that are being done in our community. So So yeah, I think that saying no, and it's hard for me because I always have FOMO. I don't want to miss out on anything. So saying no on occasion, taking a deep breath. I love massages. I love bubble baths. I like to read. So these are things that help me disconnect.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
real quick fire. What was the last thing you read?
So the last thing I read was actually I was reading a series by Chanel Clinton. I don't know if you're familiar
Not.
with her. She is actually a Cuban writer, and she writes these Cuban stories that are, even though they're fictional, they're based on true concepts during the revolution in Cuba. And she's a young writer. I say young, obviously I'm older, so for me anybody under 50 is young. But anyway, so I read her series of books. And I'm done with that, and now I'm currently reading The Whistler, which is a John Grisham novel. I love John Grisham, by the way. I've read almost all of his books.
Nice.
So yeah.
So we'll definitely have to link that below. I'm gonna look into her.
Yes.
I do love a good Cuban story.
I can give you the books because I've read several of them. They're really it's a series, but they're not necessarily related. You can read each one individually.
Oh, that's always fun.
Yeah.
So another really quick fire question. How do you feel about la cocina? Do you like to cook?
Well, I actually like to cook. I don't always have time to cook because obviously we're busy and there's always events and things going on. But I love to cook, and the only thing that I wish is that I would be a little more adventurous. Like I know the things that I cook, so I cook those very well, and I can do that all the time. But then, but I don't experiment that much, like I don't have the time to go and look for a recipe and buy the ingredients. No, it's like, okay, I know how to make my arroz con pollo, I know how to make my picadillo, I know how to make my roasted pork, so I know how to make my things, exactly. So don't give me something weird, and then salmon, things that are easy, know. But, and my husband's really good at grilling and other things. So we eat at home at least 4 times, a week.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice to share that bread, to break bread together.
Yeah.
So another group of people that you break bread with together a lot is your girl tribe.
Right.
Shout out to Kathy and Gladys and all the beautiful ladies that you hang out with.
Yes.
How important has this tribe of women and their partners, just your friends in general, how important have they been to your life, to your well-being?
I think it's so important for us, whether we're married or single or either way, to have a group of friends, right, that you can depend on, that you can hang out with, that you can be honest with, that are always going to be there for you and have your back. And I have had that over the years, different groups, some of them have been consistent. Yvonne DeBesa and I have been friends for many years, maybe 15 years or so, close friends, and then Gladys for the last 8 to 10, and, that kind of thing. So some of them have become closer, but I'll be honest with you, during COVID, there was a group of us that became closer friends, because we all felt, a little obviously disconnected from the world, as all of us did at that time. And we started having these Zoom meetings, and we would have wine with the Zoom meetings, of course, Zoom happy hours.
Yeah.
And that actually, one of them was Vicki Lopez, who is now our state representative.
Love Vicki.
Yeah, she's fabulous. So she was part of that group as well, and Kathy and Gladys and Yvonne and Lydia Sacasa. And so we had a great group of people, and we would meet all the time via Zoom, and that was such an escape for us and such a great way to stay connected. And we would talk about our past, our confusions, our depression, if we had issues with men, if we had issues with other friends, if we had issues at work. We had a group of people that was a safe space for us to be able to do that. So that group became much closer during that time and has stayed as close. So now we travel together and with our husbands or our boyfriends or whatever. And we have stayed really very, very close together. We're all involved in the community as well. We're all involved with Women United, and we're involved in the chamber and with Habitat. And so I think that we all kind of feed off of each other as far as our community involvement and our personal relationships. So it has really been a blessing, to be honest with you. And I have a lot of friends, so, and we all hang out with but there's been that core group that we've really stayed close and remained close.
That's awesome. It's nice to hear that story, because now when I see you all together, now I have some depth and some context to, what really brought you all together and made your bond stronger, which is beautiful. You said you started off in banking, traditional banking, and now you're in the part of the community space, which I believe you help give community grants to organizations, you support different initiatives. How did you go from regular banking, finance, to this role?
I started in banking on the retail side. I was a branch manager. I went through credit training. I did commercial real estate, consumer lending, mortgage lending, all of that, and liked dealing with customers, but there was always a lot of pressure, right, to produce, and a lot of pressure to meet your goals and to lend and to bring deposits. And it was getting a little overwhelming, and it just so happens that it, kind of dropped on my lap where I started working for an investment firm, so I started doing just investments, and then I was approached by the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta, started working for the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta. So that led me to form a consortium of banks that wanted to finance affordable housing. Prior to doing that, I had never even heard of CRA. CRA is the Community Reinvestment Act, which requires banks to meet the needs of low and moderate income residents, as well as neighborhoods and small businesses. I had been in banking for 15 years and had never even heard of it. I was a branch manager. I could have done so much, right, to kind of help that particular area of the bank, but it just wasn't a priority. It wasn't something that was actually, that important at that time to the banking world. So I was so happy when I learned about it, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, now as a banker I can make a difference in the community. Not that I couldn't do that before. Obviously, we help clients, and there's a lot of things that bankers do all the time that helps the community and helps others, but specifically do that. Specifically deal with nonprofits and deal with issues that are affecting us, such as affordable housing and financial literacy and other things like that, and helping communities that need our help, minority and low-income and underserved communities. So when we formed that consortium, I was asked to run, to be the market president for that consortium. That's Neighborhood Lending Partners. It still exists. It's based out of Tampa. And I ran the South Florida affiliate, and it's a great organization. But that is what taught me about banking, about the CRA aspect of banking. And then that's been my career since, and I love it. I worked for Great Florida Bank as their head of CRA, then Gibraltar Private Bank, and then they were bought out by Iberia Bank, which was bought out by First Horizon Bank, and now I'm with Banesco. So it's been, quite a transition, and that's how it is in the banking world for those bankers out there. You know how it is.
Erbi, here's kind of a tough question to put you in the, I don't want to say the hot seat, but maybe in the think seat. What has been your biggest failure that you learned the most from, that has made you, in part, who you are today?
That is a very good question. I don't know if I want to call it a failure, but I do want to say that when I was younger, I didn't realize the importance of building relationships, as opposed to, I was more of just, if you know your stuff, you're going to be good at it, and you're going to grow, and you're going to be promoted, because you know what you're doing. And so I was all about doing the right thing and learning and really working hard and working long hours and going to school at night. I was all about that. Meanwhile, I wasn't really building relationships because I did not see that as a priority. I thought that that was just something that you did on the side, and if it happened, it happened, but that wasn't my focus. And the longer I've been in business and in banking and so forth, I've realized that it's not what you know, but who you know.
Yeah.
And that would be the advice that I would give any younger person. You still have to work hard. You still have to know what you're doing, and you still, obviously that should always be up there. But dude, it's about building relationships, just always, making sure that you're in the right place with the right people, that you're establishing that kind of rapport with people, with community leaders and people that can help you and that you can help.
Yeah.
So let's make sure that we understand that this is not about you getting something all the time. It's about you building relationships and connecting people together. And yeah, someday you may have to call them and you'll need a favor and they'll help you. But hopefully you're always going to be open to helping them as well and knowing that you're doing the right thing. So very important, something that I didn't really grasp or realize until many, many years into my career.
Yeah, it's super important. I remember you putting in the ask for Habitat for Humanity committee members, and because we fangirl over you, I know you don't believe me, I so wanted to build a relationship with you, and I thought what a great opportunity to support an awesome human like yourself, support an amazing organization, and continue building that relationship through community service.
Right.
So one thing.
And we did get a few people that started, Julissa being one of them.
Yeah, Julissa and Mariela, shout out to them. And so thank you for putting that opportunity in our community chat that we have, and opening up your committee to other people to help as well. So that's really great advice. It really is a lot of who you know, and definitely the elbow grease and what and making sure you account yourself to some level of professionalism. But now knowing all of that, you've been in a career for 20, 30 years. What?
More like 40.
40. So you've been in your career for 40 years. You've been a wife for a long time. You've been a mom for a long time. You've been Erbi for a long time, right? Yeah. So what does Erbi today tell Erbi from 40 years ago? What do you tell young Erbi?
Yeah, and again, I think that that's one of the things that I would definitely say, that even though you want to work hard and learn and go to school and all of that, that's important. And by the way, if you don't want to go to school, that's fine too, because now there are a lot of other options. So the building relationships is big. The taking time for yourself is big too, because I think a lot of times when I was younger, when I was in high school, I wasn't in 5 different things, like now they have to play soccer, they have to play volleyball, they have to do gym class, they have to do ballet, they have to do Spanish dancing, I don't know, then they have to do the music thing, and then they have to do it's like, okay, how many things do they do, these kids? And then the poor parents that have to take them to everything and drive everywhere and be involved in everything. And I think that sometimes kids just really just want to have fun and, and enjoy themselves and go play with their friends and go to the movies and that kind of thing. So I think that kids nowadays put a lot of pressure on themselves, And again, that contributes to that whole mental health issue.
Yeah.
I just heard this, the interview with this this young golfer, that she decided to quit professional golf, because she was burned out.
Yeah.
And I do think also that because of social media, the kids have other pressures now. So take care of yourself first. Take care of yourself.
That's beautiful. So Erbi, I say Erbi, so like confianzali.
And I can explain to you the whole Erbi thing too. That's a 2-minute story, but I can explain. A lot of people are like, "Where did you get that name? Is that your full name?" And it's like, it's a little weird.
Where does Erbi come from?
So the name is Erbira, Erbira.
Okay.
And I think, as I mentioned earlier, my parents immigrated from Cuba, and they meant to name me Elvira, which is the normal name. Elvira, Elvira. That was the normal name, but my mom says that that's how she pronounced it. But that's not the way they spelled it. I was born in New Jersey. That's not the way they spelled it. They spelled it Erbira. And even though she thought it was misspelled, she thought, no, maybe that's the way they spell it here in the United States. And nobody spoke Spanish in the hospital, so she left it like that. I'm like, Mom, you have no idea what I've gone through my entire life. Because people, especially when you're a little kid, you don't want to have this weird name. You want to be a Maria, a Kathy, a normal person, So it was something that I've had to deal with my whole life, and that Erbira became Erbi just because it was easier, and I've been Erbi ever since. And I never did change it, but I just thought, that's weird that I had to grow up with a weird name. I named my son Kevin. I want him to just have a normal name.
Just Kevin.
Yeah, just Kevin.
Well, Erbi's adorable, and it's totally fitting of you, your personality, your charisma, and everything that you offer
You're sweet.
to people. Yeah, my pleasure. Erbi, any last parting words before we wrap up?
No, I think this is fabulous. Thank you for my first opportunity at doing a podcast, and I can't wait to see it and see all the other people, wonderful people, awesome people that you've been interviewing. I think it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you to our viewers and our listeners out there for tuning in to this episode of My Awesome Friend with Miss Erbi. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.